Hey everyone, welcome to the Royce Reports. I'm your host Royce, and on this channel we talk mostly Xbox related news, but I do dabble in other gaming related topics and reviews. So if you think you might be interested in that, be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to, or don't. It's free. Who cares? Anyways, so another day, another video about Activision Blizzard and the acquisition, but this time it's kind of a big deal. So FTC is suing Microsoft in order to block this deal from going through because they state due to monopoly reasons and because they have shown that through prior engagements with other acquisitions that they are willing to remove content from other devices and lie to the EU about all this. And the EU actually had some responses about that, as well as Microsoft. So with that, let's get into the news. All right, FTC, this is, what everyone's been waiting for. There's been a lot of rumors about what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. And there's been people talking about how it's a political thing and how, Republican or Democrat or whatever. There's a lot of stuff going on. And I don't know if this is political. I don't know if they're just trying to do their job, but they have announced that they are going to be suing to block the Activision Blizzard acquisition by Microsoft. Now, does this mean that they're no longer going to be getting it? No, not necessarily. There's still a trial that needs to happen. There's lawyers that need to talk, and a judge has to make the final decision. But there's been a lot of updates since yesterday when they announced this. So let's see what they had to say. FTC seeks to block Microsoft Corporation's acquisition of Activision Blizzard Incorporated. Agency alleges that maker of Xbox would gain control of top video game franchises, enabling it to harm competition in high-performance gaming consoles and subscription services by denying or degrading rivals access to its popular content. The Federal Trade Commission is seeking to block technology giant Microsoft Corporation from acquiring leading video game developer Activision Blizzard Incorporated and its blockbuster gaming franchises such as Call of Duty, alleging that the $69 billion deal, Microsoft's largest ever and the largest ever in the video gaming industry, would enable Microsoft to suppress competitors to its Xbox gaming consoles and its rapidly growing subscription content and cloud gaming business. So they're pretty much alleging that Microsoft is going to be using all the stuff that they acquire to help themselves in business and to gain more subscribers and to gain more people by having them join Xbox, which is honestly a no shit statement. What kind of company is going to buy something and not use it for themselves? Obviously, they're going to use it for their cloud infrastructure. Obviously, they're going to be using it for Game Pass, and obviously, they're going to be using it to their advantage for exclusivity for certain titles. Not everything, but certain titles. In a complaint issued today, the FTC pointed to Microsoft's record of acquiring and using valuable gaming content to suppress competition from rival consoles, including its acquisition of ZeniMax, parent company of Bethesda Softworks, a well-known gaming developer. Microsoft decided to make several Bethesda titles, including Starfield and Redfall, Microsoft exclusive despite assurances it had given to European antitrust authorities that had no incentive to withhold games from rival consoles. So, they just talked about Starfield and Redfall, both games which have not been released yet, how they made those games exclusive, which is kind of like, yeah, okay, those are the only things that they have made exclusive since acquiring Bethesda. Ever since they acquired Bethesda, they said that everything that is currently on Bethesda, we are going to continue to support. Not only that, but all of the deals and contracts that are already in place, we will continue to support. That's why we saw games like Deathloop and we saw Ghostwire Tokyo, which launched this year, exclusive to their console because they maintained those deals that they had already in place. They didn't break any contracts. They didn't break what they said. And I remember when this was going out, everyone kept saying that, oh, Xbox is lying. They're saying that they're going to make these games and maintain them on Xbox and other platforms, but they're lying. And they point to Starfield and Redfall as an example. It's not just the FTC. It is other people that are running with this statement as well. And for the longest time, I remember just thinking, who ever said that? Like, if you even thought, even if they did say that, you could obviously think like bullshit. You could call bullshit on that right away, because why would they do that? Why would you spend $7.5 billion on something like Fallout and Elder Scrolls and choose to maintain that as a multi-platform seller? You wouldn't. You would want to draw people over. That was the point of Bethesda. So the point of them buying Bethesda. And then people are going to say, well, Bethesda is just an example of what they're going to do with ABK, which is also not true. ABK games are not the same thing as Bethesda games. Bethesda are single player games. These games are pretty big, yeah. Like Skyrim is one of the best selling games of all time, but you could make that exclusive to your console, and that's what you would want. You'd want to be able to say, hey, you could play Fallout, you could play Elder Scrolls, you could play Doom, you could play Wolfenstein, all exclusive on our platform. You can't get that anywhere else. And when you buy them, you could say those things. And yeah, those platforms have had homes elsewhere, but that they own it now. They can do what they want with it. And that's exactly what they're doing. And that's exactly what you're seeing happening. But when people say like, oh, they're going to do that with something like Skyrim, then they're going to do that with something like Call of Duty, which is false. It has been false. I've been saying that ever since they started to try to acquire Activision Blizzard, which is, why would they do that? Why would they? It doesn't make any business sense to remove the people that you need to make Call of Duty successful. Why would you do that? Why would you just put yourself in crutch like that? That is not how you should be doing business, and it doesn't make any sense. And not only that, but now you're seeing Microsoft go out and do these 10-year deals that they try to do with Sony, that they're doing with Nintendo, and that they're doing with Steam. That is not to make it exclusive. That's obviously intentional for them to go and place those games on those services. That's what they want. They want to bring Call of Duty. They want to bring those games to more people. Call of Duty, Overwatch, World of Warcraft is probably going to get a console port at some time because they want access to more players. So if you actually go and you read the complaint, which is the little PDF file that they have attached to this page, this is from the FTC website. They actually break it down and they have multiple different aspects to why they're trying to sue Microsoft. And long story short is because they believe Microsoft is going to make these games exclusive, and they believe that by allowing this merger of Activision Blizzard King with Microsoft, that gives Microsoft an incredible leg up on other competition, in that they're pretty much going to have a monopoly. That's what they are saying in those files. These effects are likely to be felt through the video gaming industry. The proposed acquisition is reasonably likely to substantially lessen competition and or tend to create a monopoly in both well-developed and new burgeoning markets, including high-performance consoles, multi-game content library subscription services, and cloud gaming subscription services. So they're saying that it's a monopoly. And we have seen multiple times before that no, it is not a monopoly. And what's crazy is obviously Microsoft responded to this, and Brad Smith, the president, I said he was the lawyer, I believe he's the president of Microsoft, had this to say on his Twitter. We have been committed since day one to addressing competition concerns, including by offering earlier this week proposed concessions to the FTC. While we believe in giving peace a chance, we have complete confidence in our case and welcome the opportunity to present it in court. So Microsoft is ready for this. They have been preparing for this, and I feel like they understood that they probably might have gotten sued. And so they are willing and open, and they have been preparing for this whole entire time. So this isn't news to them. I don't think this scares them by any means. Further on in the article, they say Microsoft has already shown that it can and will withhold content from its gaming rival, said Holly Bedova, director of the FTC's Bureau of Competition. Today, we seek to stop Microsoft from gaining control over a leading independent game studio and using it to harm competition in multiple dynamic and fast-growing gaming markets. Right there in just that statement alone, she has said multiple dynamic and fast-growing gaming markets. That means that there is a healthy competition in the gaming market, and that by having them acquire Activision Blizzard, you are not harming that market. It is a fast and growing market. Continuing on in the article, Activision is one of a very small number of top video game developers in the world that create and publish high-quality video games for multiple devices, including video game consoles, PCs, and mobile devices. It produces some of the most iconic and more popular video game titles, including Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Diablo, and Overwatch. It has millions of monthly active users around the world, according to the FTC complaint. Activision currently has a strategy of offering its games on many devices, regardless of producer. So something I want to highlight is the fact that it says Activision is one of only a very small number of top video game developers in the world. No, they're not. There's many others. We have, like, just off the top of my head, without looking up anything, I could think of probably at least 5 other developers. Let's see. Nintendo, Sony, EA, Take-Two, Ubisoft. That was 5. That's not including other titles and other developers like Bandai Namco, Square Enix, Capcom, and other ones that I'm kind of like blanking on. But there's Epic Games. There's another one. There you go, Fortnite. There's a bunch of developers. There's a bunch of AAA producers that can deliver AAA experiences on other consoles. And if you look at it and you're comparing it to like these other developers, yeah, there's nothing like Call of Duty, right? And that's what everyone's always going to point to. Call of Duty seems to be the game of contention here, is that Call of Duty is the lifeblood of Activision Blizzard. And that might be true. And you got to understand that Call of Duty being the #1 gaming franchise in all of gaming is not Call of Duty's fault. That sounds fucking weird, but hear me out. Call of Duty is succeeding because it is something that people recognize and can expect every single year. And it has a lot to offer for the amount of stuff that you get. You get a campaign, you get multiplayer, you get different modes like DMZ and Warzone, and every other year you get to change that out. So if you're not liking Spec Ops one year, well, next year you'll be getting zombies. And if you don't like zombies that year, well, wait another year, you might get a different alien type mixture mode. Well, if you don't like that, well, then we're going to go and do some exosuit stuff. Like, it is a constant machine that is currently coming out every single year. And you have competition of Call of Duty that people forget to talk about, which is Battlefield, Medal of Honor, Killzone, Halo. You have multiple different first-person shooters that can infiltrate that market. You even still have things like CSGO and Valorant, which are all highly played video games in this market, including Destiny. There are so many other options that could be as big as Halo or as big as Call of Duty. But those things aren't those things. It isn't Call of Duty, not because of Call of Duty, but because of themselves. Battlefield is a franchise that has fallen flat on its face over and over and over again. The last good Battlefield game was Battlefield 5. And that was a long time ago. And people have always been saying like, well, we want to go back to modern combat. Why are you going to Battlefield 1? We want modern combat. So they go to Battlefield 2042, and that game is utterly broken upon launch. And is that Call of Duty's fault? No, that is EA's fault. That is EA's fault for not making a good enough game. And then you look at something like Star Wars Battlefront. Star Wars Battlefront was something that everybody was super hyped for, and it was one of the biggest games the first time it came out. And it also fell on its face because, again, DICE, they just didn't have it together. EA just did not have it together. And whose fault is that? Is that Call of Duty's fault? That's EA's fault. Medal of Honor, whose fault is that? That's EA's fault. Like Halo not being very good this time around, well, it is good, just missing a lot of content. Whose fault is that? That's Microsoft's fault. There's always a reason as to why nothing can compete with Call of Duty, and it's not because of Call of Duty. It's because of those people that don't believe in those franchises or rush them to the finish line, because Call of Duty has been able to successfully have a yearly output because they have so many studios dedicated to that Call of Duty machine. And that's a fault of their own, because you look at Activision Blizzard and you say, wow, like there's a lot of franchises that I miss. I wish they would do something with Sonic. Not Sonic, that's Sega. Oh, there's another company. But I wish they would do something with Spyro and with Crash and with Tony Hawk, or I wish they would make new IP and do something with that. Gun 2. I know everyone's clamoring for Gun 2. I know it. Gun 2. But it's not happening because they took all of the companies that they have and they put them into the Call of Duty machine. And so that's the problem. And that's another thing that we need to talk about is the conditions of working at Activision. Everyone talks about how it is such a pain in the ass to work there because of the bullying, because of the sexual harassment, and because of the unfair working conditions, the biasness, and also the misogynistic type leadership that has been going on there. A lot of people under Activision don't want Bobby Kotick as the person that's leading Activision Blizzard. And with this acquisition of Activision Blizzard, that's what Microsoft plans to do, is to shift over Bobby Kotick and pretty much get rid of him and have them answer to Phil Spencer. And that's what they want. That's what the workers want. Everyone, all of the workers were super excited about this deal, are now have to worry about this deal not going through. I believe that this deal will go through without any hitch. It doesn't seem like they're going to have too much trouble combating this lawsuit at all. But what adds any fuel to the flame of this is the EU's response to the FTC filing and how they called them out in their filing, saying that pretty much Microsoft lied to the EU. And this is what the EU responded with. Microsoft didn't mislead EU over ZeniMax deal, Watchdog says in response to US concerns. Microsoft didn't make any commitments to EU regulators not to release Xbox exclusive content following its takeover of ZeniMax Media, the European Commission has said. US enforcers yesterday suggested that the US tech giant had misled the regulator in 2021 and cited that as a reason to challenge its proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard. The commission cleared the Microsoft/ZeniMax transaction unconditionally as it concluded that the transaction would not raise competition concerns, the EU watchdog said in an emailed statement. The absence of competition concerns did not rely on any statements made by Microsoft about the future distribution strategy concerning ZeniMax's games, said the commission, which itself has opened an in-depth probe into Activision Blizzard deal and appears keen to clarify what happened in the previous acquisition. The EU agency found that even if Microsoft were to restrict access to ZeniMax titles, it wouldn't have a significant impact on competition because rivals wouldn't be denied access to an essential input, and other consoles would still have a large array of attractive content. So pretty much EU just said, look, like, you could say what you want, but I'm gonna tell you right now, that's a fucking lie. We never had them lie to us about any sort of deals or them making sure that Bethesda games were continued to be made multi-platform. And I just think, a lot of people are going out and saying that the FTC lied. I don't think the FTC lied. I think the FTC misunderstood a lot of the wording around this. And because if you are the outside looking in, right, and you go and you look at this deal, people usually on the Sony side say that Microsoft promised that Bethesda games would remain multi-platform and then turned around and pretty much lied about that, which is, I always said, where is the proof of that? I don't know where that's at. And if there is proof, let me know. Like, please prove me wrong. I don't care if I'm wrong. So please, if you believe that there is a statement somewhere, I couldn't find it, let me know in the comment section below. I would definitely check it out and I appreciate it. But regardless, this deal, even if they did have that statement, I feel like this deal would still go through because of the fact that they're calling this a monopoly. It is simply not. And a lot of other people who are smarter than I am also have talked about how if the FTC decided to take this to court, it would be a huge, huge mistake because right now the FTC is looking pretty desperate because they are just coming off of 2 direct losses that they have taken to court. They have lost both of those, and they have lost both of those lawsuits. And now they have this whole thing like where they're probably looking very desperate and they don't really have a leg to stand on with these accusations. And so a lot of people who are lawyers say from on the outside looking in. Look, I'm not saying that they are not. A lot of people are saying that this is a mistake on their part. So that'd be interesting to see. I don't know. I don't think there's anything to be worried about. I think this deal is going to go through. A lot of people are trying to say that the reason why the FTC is even trying to put in for a lawsuit is not to try to stop it, but to actually get it completely just prolong the whole thing until June, which if it takes until June to close this, then Activision, Blizzard, and Microsoft are going to have to renegotiate, and at that point they might just walk away entirely. So who knows? We'll probably get more about this. I heard that the EU is supposed to be coming out with a filing soon, sometime in July, and we'll find out if they have any concessions. So this is really crazy. I feel like a lot of people are trying to say that this is an L on Xbox's part, and I don't take it that way. I think that if they do lose out on the Activision Blizzard acquisition, I'm not going to be upset about it. I really don't care about any of those IP, and obviously this is just me saying this stuff, but I don't care about any of this stuff. The only thing I'd be upset about is the fact that how long it took to get through this process, and how it took months and months and months. And a lot of the things that are going on around Xbox right now, people keep saying that, oh, they're not showing games because they don't want to look like they have a lot going on in the FTC's eyes and all this other stuff. I don't really know if I buy that per se, but they've also missed out on a lot of things. They missed out on possibly acquiring Eidos and Crystal Dynamics from Square Enix. I feel like those studios were working really closely with Xbox, and those are really talented studios, and they were taken from them. They weren't taken from them, but they could have acquired them definitely for $300 million. That would have been a steal, but they didn't, and that's because they were in the middle of all of this. And you also got to think, like, okay, what could have happened during this time? Like, if this deal was never happening, does that mean that Microsoft would have went out and tried to buy someone else? Would they have acquired Asobo? Would they have acquired someone else like as big as Bethesda? Or would they invest in their gaming infrastructure? You see like $69 billion that's designated just for gaming to acquire Activision Blizzard. Does that mean that if this deal goes through, that they're going to use that money on their gaming, on the gaming infrastructure, or are they going to go and try to use that money to get more day one Game Pass deals, or try to buy up exclusivity, or would they just try to buy brand new studios? I don't know what they would do with that money. It's a lot of money, and you could do a lot of money. You could do a lot of stuff with that money. So it'd be interesting to see what they would have done without all of this. But obviously, we don't live in that reality, and we now just have to keep on playing the waiting game. This is one of the longest discussion topics I've ever seen. What do you guys think? Do you think that this deal is going to go through? Do you think that there's going to be concessions? And do you think that if there isn't any concessions, that Xbox is going to kind of look at Sony and be like, yo, man, you should have accepted that 10-year deal and take Call of Duty away? I still highly doubt that. I think that regardless of what happens, and I think that Sony and Microsoft are still going to play ball together, just because business is business, and that's all it is at the end of the day. So thank you guys for stopping by. I appreciate you. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Please think about hitting that subscribe button and like button, and I'll be seeing you guys on the next one. And remember, take it easy.